My family kicked me out when I was 15, telling me I was a mistake who should never have been born. A decade later, I walked into my father's 60th birthday party. My mother clutched her purse as if I was there to steal from her. My aunt gasped, declaring I had no right to be there. My cousin laughed, saying, "Look what the gutter dragged in." A waiter was instructed not to serve me, and they told me, "You had your chance. You're not family anymore." I just smiled, took a folded letter from my jacket, and placed it on the cake table before walking out silently. 20 minutes later, my phone vibrated incessantly with missed calls and voicemails filled with shouting, crying, and pleading. "What is this? We need to talk, please." I had just shown up at my dad's birthday, and my mom was still clutching her purse like I was going to take something from her. It was classic. Honestly, that was the least strange thing about the evening. Walking in felt surreal. I hadn't seen most of these people in 10 years, and nothing had really changed, except my uncle now wore glasses that made him look like a cheap version of Elon Musk. My cousin still had that laugh that resembled a hyena on a nicotine patch. At first, no one said anything. They all pretended not to notice me, though I knew they did. I almost turned around before I even took 2 steps in. The waiter, who looked about 18, seemed nervous, glanced at me, then at my aunt. She shook her head slightly, and he went back to serving drinks, ignoring me. That was my warm welcome back to the family. I half expected someone to outright tell me to leave, but instead, my cousin Bruce, the one who used to hide my sneakers in the doghouse, sauntered over, smirking as he looked me up and down, whispering to his sister Paloma. They both laughed, and I heard him say, "Look what the gutter dragged in." I just stared back, not saying a word. I felt my hands clench a little, but whatever. Then my Aunt Alice, who always despised me and said I brought bad luck, finally couldn't hold it in and said plainly, "You have no right to be here. You shouldn't be here, Dale." I ignored her and focused on my dad, who stood by the cake, chatting with his friends as if nothing was happening. He looked at me and quickly looked away. I didn't expect a hug or anything. I just wanted him to see that I wasn't afraid of them anymore. For anyone unfamiliar with the backstory, they kicked me out at 15, literally tossing my bag onto the porch and saying I was a mistake they couldn't deal with anymore. This wasn't some dramatic situation where I did something terrible. My parents fought for years, blaming me for their issues, saying I ruined their marriage. My dad always called me a burden, while my mother claimed I reminded her of her worst choices. After the divorce, they both acted like I didn't exist, keeping my little sister and treating her like the real child while I was just a failed version. I crashed at friends' places, couch surfed, and ended up sleeping in a 24-hour laundromat more times than I wanted to admit. No one from the family reached out, not for Christmas or when I had to go to the ER alone. Fast forward to now, 10 years later, and I found myself in this fancy rented hall with gold balloons and an extravagant cake, while everyone acted like I was invisible or wished I would leave. To be honest, I would have left, but I wasn't there for them. I was there for myself. My mom eventually approached, still clutching her purse as if I might snatch it away. She simply said, "You had your chance. You're not family anymore." My dad nodded along like a bobblehead. Paloma chimed in, saying I should just crawl back to whatever hole I crawled out of. Someone, probably my Uncle Raul, claimed, "This is a private event. You can't just show up." Bruce stepped in front of me, trying to block my way to the cake table. He's always been bigger than me, but I just stared at him and he moved aside. He was always a coward when it mattered. I approached the table where the cake displayed a silly gold Happy 60th decoration, surrounded by 7 people taking selfies. I pulled out the letter from my jacket. It was just a plain piece of folded paper with my handwriting, no envelope. I placed it right in the middle of the cake table, and though no one stopped me, everyone watched. My aunt tried to grab my arm, but I shook her off. She slapped my shoulder, but I didn't even look at her. I just smiled, probably the fakest smile ever, and turned to walk out. Bruce called after me, saying I was pathetic. Paloma remarked that I had just embarrassed myself. My mom muttered something I couldn't hear, but I caught the word disgrace. My dad stood there, holding a glass, staring at the letter like it was a bomb. I exited through the front door, and someone slammed it behind me so hard that the glass rattled. I didn't run, I just kept walking. Once outside, I realized my hands were trembling a bit, but I felt oddly calm. Honestly, I thought that would be the end of it. I'd drop the letter and leave, expecting them to ignore it like they had ignored me for the last 10 years. 20 minutes later, my phone started blowing up. It wasn't just a few calls, it was at spam level. My mom, my dad, Alice, Raoul, and even Bruce were all calling. Texts, missed calls, voicemails. It was a mess. At first, there was yelling, then crying, then outright begging. Some sounded scared, not angry. I had no idea what part of the letter unnerved them, but I wasn't going to answer. I silenced my phone and watched the notifications pile up. I know some people will call this petty, but honestly, I waited 10 years for them to feel even a sliver of what they made me feel, even if just for one night. I have no regrets. If you want to know what was in the letter or what happened next, let me know. I have receipts and plenty more to share about how these people operate. Update 1. I kept my phone on silent until around 3 a.m. because I didn't trust myself not to start yelling at people or saying things I'd regret. I lay on my couch, laptop open, scrolling through random TikToks to drown out the notifications. It's funny how you can block out noise for years, and then suddenly, it's everywhere. All these people who ignored me now blowing up my phone, like I'm their only hope. I finally checked the voicemails when I woke up, and they were chaotic. The first ones were all yelling. My dad saying I had no right to drag family issues into a party, Bruce saying if I ever showed my face again, I'd regret it. My aunt screamed about how I'd ruined everything. Then, about an hour later, came the crying. My mom's shaky voice asked how I could do this to her, saying she had a tough life and asking if I didn't care at all. More missed calls, more texts, and then finally a 2-word message from Paloma. You win. I figured they'd be angry, but I didn't expect them to flip this quickly. So, I let the notifications pile up and didn't respond. I went for a walk, got coffee, and tried not to think about it. But there's only so much scrolling on Reddit you can do before you start losing it. So, I called back a blocked number, because I'm not naive. I called my dad, and he picked up on the first ring, immediately yelling and talking so fast I couldn't catch half of it. All I got was, "You have no idea what you've done. You need to fix this." I hung up, and he called back, but I didn't answer. Here's what I put in the letter, as people keep asking. It was all the stuff they lied about. Proof. I'm not talking about petty stuff. I mean real evidence. When I was a kid, I overheard my dad discussing hiding money from my mom during the divorce, funneling it into some investment that was really just him stashing it away under my aunt's name. Aunt Alice, the same one who always looked at me like I was a cockroach, helped him do it. I was 15, but not stupid. When they tossed me out, I took what I could. A phone, some notebooks, and a battered thumb drive with emails and screenshots I'd saved. I never understood why I kept it, probably just out of spite, but I held on to it. So, I included all that in the letter. Details, numbers, dates, who signed what, who knew what. I didn't even need to exaggerate. I just laid it all out. At the end, I wrote that I had already sent copies to a few interested parties, his business partners, some distant relatives, and an anonymous tip to the IRS. Not a threat, not a demand, just a fact. I signed my name. I didn't want their apology. I wanted them to understand they couldn't just erase me from their story. I didn't anticipate it hitting this hard, but I might have underestimated what they had to lose. Now it's Saturday afternoon, and my phone is still lighting up. I hear a knock at my door. I don't answer, but I peek through the window, seeing my Uncle Raoul looking around like he's about to get mugged in broad daylight. I wait until he leaves. I get another message from my mom, a long text about how I need to call her. She says she's scared, that people are threatening her, and that I'm ruining her life. I don't respond. I make a sandwich, turn on YouTube, and try to relax. Then Bruce sends a voice note, angry. He says I've started something I can't finish, that I'm dead to them, and he'll ensure nobody in the family talks to me again. Right? As if they ever did. He also threatens to come over, which is just him posturing. Last time he tried to fight me, he ended up with a bloody nose, and ran to his mom in tears. I block his number, thinking it would blow over, but it doesn't. The next day, I received DMs on Instagram from distant relatives, even a girl I went to middle school with and a guy from my dad's poker group. They all ask, "What did you do?" Why is your dad freaking out? Did you really send letters? Some don't believe me. One guy says I'm lying. Another says I should be ashamed, claiming family is everything. I leave them on read. Then I get a call from an unknown number, letting it go to voicemail. It's my half-sister Sophia, whom I haven't spoken to since she was 8. She wants to talk, says she doesn't blame me, and that she needs to see me. I don't respond immediately. I don't know what to say. It's strange to see how quickly people change. My dad always treated me like a stain on his new life. But now that money's involved, suddenly, I'm the most important person in the world. My mom, who always said she had no choice and that I was too much, is now playing the victim, claiming she's scared people will come after her and that she'll lose everything. I didn't make any threats. I just presented facts. But I know my dad. He'll try something, and I wouldn't be surprised if he spins this as me blackmailing him or some nonsense. I have everything saved. Screenshots, backups, all of it. I even told a friend what's happening, just in case. Not that anyone outside the family really cares, but still. Later, I go out for groceries and spot a car I don't recognize parked at the end of my street. I'm not saying it's them, but I'm not sticking around. To find out, I take a different route home. Maybe I'm paranoid, but after how they acted for so long, I'd rather be safe than sorry. By Sunday night, my phone slowed down a bit, but I get another call from Sophia. This time, I answer. She sounds tired, not angry. She just wants to talk, saying it's all gone too far and she's scared. I tell her I'm not the one who started this. She goes quiet and says she'll text me where to meet. I agree, not because I think anything will change, but because I want to hear what she has to say. She was just a kid when they kicked me out. Maybe she deserves to know the truth. Or maybe she's just trying to get me to back off. Before I meet her, I receive one last text from my mom. She apologizes, claims she didn't know what my dad was doing, and says she'll do anything if I just take it all back. Then she adds that I'm still her son if I want to be. I don't reply. I'm meeting Sophia tomorrow. I'm unsure what she wants. Maybe she hopes to fix things, or thinks she can save their money. I don't know. But I won't back down. If you're waiting for me to say I regret this, or that I feel bad, no. I wanted them to feel what I felt. This is just the beginning. Update. 2-2. The strangest part of meeting Sophia wasn't even the meeting itself. It was that she chose this. Random chain bakery, the type with fake wood and fluorescent lights. Oddly empty at noon except for old people and moms with strollers. I walked in to find her already there with a coffee and a tiny pastry, staring out the window as if she wanted to escape. It was awkward. She waved when she saw me, but not in a, "Hey, I missed you" way. More like she was unsure if I'd even sit down. I did, and she launched right into it, skipping small talk. Dad's a mess. Nobody's sleeping. Aunt Alice is threatening to sue everyone. Uncle Raoul isn't talking to anyone, and Bruce had a screaming match with his mom and punched a door. She asked, "What did you put in that letter?" I shrugged. She probably already knew. She tried to keep her voice down, but was visibly shaking, her elbow on the table. I get it. You're mad. But you can't just blow up the whole family over something that happened 10 years ago. I replied, "It didn't just happen. They planned it. They left me out on purpose. And I'm not sorry." She fell silent, looking at her phone to avoid my gaze, then said, "Dad's scared. Really scared. Apparently the business partners are talking about freezing his accounts. There's a meeting this week and everyone's panicking. Mom is freaking out and crying. She can't leave the house. She keeps saying she'll lose everything." I almost laughed but didn't. I just said, "Maybe they should have thought about that beforehand." She insisted, "You have to stop. You have to do something." I shook my head, telling her, "I'm not the one who started this. I just put the truth out there." "It's not that simple," she countered. "You didn't just hurt them, you hurt all of us." I replied, "I was 15 and they didn't care about hurting me." She said, "You could have come to me." I rolled my eyes. She was a kid and everyone was, but nobody reached out. "I didn't know. I was too young. They told me you left because you wanted to and that you didn't care about us," she explained. I said, "Yeah, that's what they wanted you to believe." Just then, Bruce stormed into the bakery, and I didn't even know how he found out I was there. Maybe Sophia told him or tracked my phone. I don't know. He approached our table, glaring at me instead of acknowledging Sophia. "You think you're smart? You think you're going to get away with this?" He slammed his hand on the table, spilling my coffee, making Sophia jump. She pushed him back, telling him to stop, but he shoved her away and she slapped him hard. He stood there, red-faced and shaking. "You better fix this, or I swear I'll make your life hell," he threatened. I replied, "What are you going to do, Bruce? Post about me online? Go for it. If you ever lay a hand on me or Sophia again, I'll send that stuff to everyone you know." He didn't like that. Sophia stood up, getting between us, telling him to leave and threatening to call the cops if he didn't. He finally backed off, knocking over a chair in the process. People were staring, and the cashier looked at us, but no one said anything. Once it was just me and Sophia again, she told me, "You have to understand it's not just about them. You're dragging everyone down." I responded, "I'm not dragging anyone. I just told the truth. If the truth hurts, that's on them." She started crying quietly, but I didn't apologize. She asked if I even cared what happened and if I had any idea what I'd started. I said, "Yeah, I do, and I'm not sorry." "What do you want?" she asked. "I want them to know they can't get away with this. I want them to know I'm not afraid of them anymore." After a while, she wiped her face and said, "I have to go." And she left. I sat there for a bit, then got up, threw away my cup, and headed outside. Bruce was waiting, trying to grab my arm, but I shoved him off, warning him it was his last chance. He spat on the ground and stormed off, shoving a guy on the sidewalk who told him to watch it. I kept walking. When I got home, I found a letter taped to my door. It was from a lawyer, or at least it looked like it, full of big words and threats about defamation, harassment, and demands to retract false claims. I laughed, knowing what I had written and that I had backups. I called the number, leaving a voicemail that said, "Go ahead, I have proof, try me." That night, my mom called again, but I let it go to voicemail. She pleaded, "Please, they're going to take everything. You have to stop. I'll do anything." I didn't respond. Then I received a message from my dad stating simply, "You're dead to me?" I didn't reply. Later, Sophia texted, wishing things were different. I didn't respond. The next day, I woke up to a group text in an old family chat I had forgotten about. It was blowing up. Alice was saying, "How could you do this after everything we did for you, you ungrateful little brat?" Uncle Raoul chimed in, "You're not family. You never were." Paloma posted, "Hope you're happy now, loser." Bruce sent a thumbs down. I left the chat. Then I received an email from one of my dad's business associates, someone I met twice as a kid. He asked if I had anything else to send, as my dad was about to lose everything. I flagged it as spam. At the store, I spotted my aunt's car in the parking lot. I walked past her, ignoring her glare. She followed me out, yelling that I ruined her life, that her husband was threatening to leave, and that people were talking. She attempted to slap me, but I dodged it and said, "I didn't ruin anything. You did." She slammed her car door and sped off. By the end of the day, I had blocked half my contacts, muted the rest, and just watched as the fallout continued. I received texts from unknown numbers, some defending me, others calling me trash. I let it all sit there. So, this is what escalation looks like. Nobody's hiding now. Nobody's pretending they care about me except Sophia. And even she's only halfway there. No apology, no forgiveness, just consequences. I'm not done. I know some of you think this is too much, that I should just walk away. But you don't know what it's like to be treated like a ghost for 10 years, and then finally have the chance to show them I matter, even if it's just by burning it all down. The next post will probably be the last, unless something wild happens, but trust, I'm not backing down, not even close. Final update. Last week felt like living in an alternate reality where I somehow became the main character in every group chat my family has. I mostly ignored everything, but even muting the apps didn't stop the calls and messages from random numbers. What really threw me off was my mom sending half apology, half guilt trip messages at odd hours, like 2 a.m., 4 a.m., like she was scared to sleep. I stopped reading them after a while. She rarely texted me. The last time was when she needed my birth certificate for paperwork, and then she ghosted me for months. I thought things might calm down after Sophia met with me, but nope. If anything, it got messier. Uncle Raoul started calling so much that I just blocked him. Then I received a real letter in the mail, like something out of the 90s. It was from a lawyer, but the letterhead was misspelled and the address was off. The whole thing demanded I take it back or face a lawsuit. I laughed, sticking it to my fridge with a pizza magnet, and finished my coffee. Then the actual legal trouble began. My dad tried to file a claim, saying I damaged the family's reputation with false statements. I got a real letter this time, delivered by some guy in a vest who looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. I called the number and spoke to a paralegal who sounded bored out of her mind. I told her I had everything backed up, 3 copies, all dated, all with digital receipts. If they wanted to drag this out, we could see who got tired first. She said she'd pass on the message, and I haven't heard back. Next, Bruce made a scene at the local gym, yelling across the parking lot about how I ruined the family and that nobody would ever forgive me. I told him, if you want to talk to your mom. She's the one who signed off on half this mess. He tried to push me, but I shoved him back. Security came out, and while he yelled at them, I walked away, not wanting to brawl with my cousin in public. It wasn't worth it. Then Aunt Alice started posting in the family Facebook group, yes, they still use Facebook, about betrayal and snakes in the grass. My phone lit up with old family friends messaging me, asking if it was about me, and if I really did all that. I sent them a link to a local news article about alleged financial misconduct at my dad's company. Not my headline, but I can't say I hate it. I started getting calls from unfamiliar numbers. Most hung up when I answered, but one guy left a voicemail threatening to ruin my life. I saved it, flagged it, and moved on. I have no idea who he was. Maybe a business buddy from my dad's circle, or just someone who thinks yelling on the phone fixes things. Sophia texted occasionally, just asking if I was okay. My mom was losing it. I didn't respond to her first few messages. Then she sent a long text saying she couldn't handle it at home, that Dad was blaming her for letting me go wild, and that she cried every night, saying everything was ruined. I sent her a thumbs up. It's not that I don't care, it's just what happens when you never fix anything. You pretend it'll go away. The only time I almost cracked was when my mom sent me a photo of the house. Empty boxes everywhere, saying, they might have to move. She said, you win. I wanted to feel guilty, but I looked around my own place. Tiny kitchen, strange stains on the ceiling, groceries stacked by the sink because the fridge shelf was broken, and thought, this is what they wanted from me. Why should I feel bad? Now it's been a couple of weeks. Uncle Raoul and Aunt Alice are apparently separated, according to Sophia. Bruce tried to add me on an old gaming account to talk, but I blocked him before he could send a message. My dad's business partners are pulling out, and Sophia said the lawyers are discussing bankruptcy. The IRS is involved. Again, not something I ever thought would make me happy, but here we are. My dad tried one more time, calling me from a blocked number late at night. I picked up out of curiosity. He started yelling, then begging, then cursing. I let him talk for a while, then said, you made your choice. He hung up. The biggest surprise was my mom showing up at my door. I opened it, saw her, and just stood there. She looked older and smaller than I remembered. She tried to step inside, but I blocked her way. She started quiet, then got angry, saying I was destroying the family, that I went too far, and that I should have just let it go. I told her, you made your choice too. She slapped my arm hard, then covered her face and cried. I just waited for her to stop. Finally, she cursed at me and slammed the door on her way out. That was it. I haven't talked to any of them since. So, here's where things stand. My dad's business is collapsing. The family group chat is a complete disaster. Nobody's talking except to blame one another, and I'm out here living my life. I didn't get rich or famous, but they finally know I'm not their punching bag anymore. I don't care if they hate me. I don't care if they move, go broke, or spend the next 10 years fighting each other. I won't be the one to clean up their mess. Some people want a happy ending, but this is real life. I did what I had to do. If they come after me again, I've still got every receipt. I'm not scared of them anymore. I don't want their apology or their money. I just want them out of my life. For everyone who said I should just walk away, you've never been kicked out by your own family and told you were a mistake. You never stood outside at 15 with nothing but a backpack and a broken phone. I don't owe them anything. I chose myself. So, yeah, that's the end. I'm done with them. Whatever happens next, it's not my problem. Peace.